The gavel comes down. Courtroom hushes. On one side is Kody Brown, his countenance a tempest of defiance. Across from him, the wives who once shared his name, now his staunchest adversaries. Secrets are going to be brought into the open, and not everyone will leave whole. What would you do if your family betrayal went on trial for the world to see? Stay with me because this case changes everything. Set the scene. The courthouse, media storm, tension in the air. Narration introduces the broken sister wives' family and why this trial is so important. Opening statements. Christine's attorney makes a stunning allegation about secret finances. Tension booster plus cliffhanger finish when Kody takes the stand. Suspenseful/emotional. Kody testifies, cracks appear. Christine confronts him via her lawyer, voice trembling yet stinging. Flashbacks, recollections of broken vows, betrayal, favoritism to Robyn. Retention booster plus cliffhanger, an envelope sealed is introduced as evidence. Remarkable emotion, Robyn testifies, tearful, belligerent, insisting she's misunderstood. Reaction from other wives, Janelle rolls her eyes, Meri appears shattered. A stunning revelation about secret property papers that bind to Robyn. Retention booster plus cliffhanger, attorney for Christine vows explosive witness. Most suspenseful surprise witness appears, person who knows Kody intimately with inside information. Testimony uncovers manipulation, potential financial fraud. Christine becomes tearful in court, Janelle consoles her. Retention booster plus cliffhanger, judge calls for recess following new evidence being accepted. Court continues, final war of words. Kody pleads desperately, but Christine provides her strongest moment. The decision, not only legal but also emotional. Who really wins? Retention booster plus CTA. Ask direct question to audience. Do you think Kody was guilty of betrayal or was this trial an act of revenge? The air is thick in the courtroom the instant Kody Brown stands up from his seat and walks toward the witness stand, the thud of his shoes sounding across the strained silence, the cameras of the press clicking like faraway thunder. He adjusts his tie, though his hands are shaking ever so slightly, and sits as the bailiff administers the oath to him. His jaw is clenched, his eyes flicking up toward Christine, who shies away from his gaze, her lips pinched together in a line of suppressed anger. The judge leans back, observing the man once who boasted of keeping a rambling family afloat, now the focus of a public breakdown. The prosecutor is quick to take advantage, moving forward with a cool but slashing tone. Mr. Brown, could you tell the court what happened with your family finances in the past decade? Kody swallows hard, pushing confidence into his voice. I did my best to provide, to distribute resources evenly. It wasn't easy with all the responsibilities. His words linger, yet Christine's lawyer stands up quickly, objecting to the evasive answer. The judge permits a restatement, and the lawyer moves in closer, eyes fixed on Kody's. Is it not true, Mr. Brown, that you set up secret accounts that your wives were not privy to? Accounts that were directly linked to properties bought in Robyn's name. The words drop like a bomb. Gasps run through the courtroom. Janelle's expression goes rigid, Meri's eyes go wide, and Robyn squirms in her seat. Kody exhales, his voice tightening. That's not how it was. You're twisting it. Those accounts were for the family's future. Christine's attorney presses, his voice like steel. For the family's future or for Robyn's security? Because the records presented to this court indicate otherwise. Christine's gaze at last raises, colliding with Kody's for a fleeting moment, and within that glance is years of betrayal, every restless night, every hushed mistrust given form before witnesses. The lawyer does not waver, spreading out big photographs of deeds to property, the signed names indelible, Kody's hand wrapped around Robyn's. Can you tell me why these houses were bought without Christine, Janelle, and Meri's knowledge? Kody stammers, his voice breaking for the first time. I didn't think it would be complicated to get everyone involved. It wasn't supposed to be a secret. But Christine's lawyer comes back at him. Too complicated? Or too revealing? Did you not vow equality to all of these women and play favorites secretly? Christine leans forward, her fingers interlocked in front of her, every muscle in her frame stiff. Courtroom shrinks in size around them, the walls closing in on Kody as his facade collapses. In a flashback embedded in the story, we are shown Christine at late night, looking at bank statements, the light from a laptop screen illuminating her weary face, mumbling to Janelle, "It doesn't add up, something's missing." The flashback dissolves into reality as the lawyer bangs the last piece of evidence on the table, a bank record stamped envelope from an account Christine's attorney says was knowingly withheld. Kody swallows hard, sweat forming at his temple, and his voice lowers. "Those choices, they were made to shelter us all from criticism." The judge gives a disbelieving raise of the eyebrow. Robyn shifts uncomfortably in her seat, eyes jumping between Kody and the jury box, lips moving in silent prayer as if she's wishing it would all be over. Questioning cuts deeper. "Mr. Brown, did you ever tell Christine about these accounts?" Silence. Kody's mouth opens, then closes once more, his silence more telling than any denial. Christine's lawyer leans in, words low but weighed with accusation. "Isn't it true, sir, that you constructed an empire of domination, where fact was your archenemy?" The words echo, bouncing off the walls of the courtroom, and Christine's breath catches in her throat. She remembers standing in the kitchen years ago, confronting Kody about why bills seemed late, why Robyn always had more resources, why promises never matched reality. His reply then had been dismissive, even cruel. "You're imagining things, Christine." That memory bleeds into the present as she watches him squirm under oath. Janelle grumbles under her breath, shaking her head, and Meri simply looks down at her lap, eyes glazed with hurt. Robyn wipes her cheeks on a tissue, muttering to herself, "He was just trying to help us. He didn't mean harm." But the jury, expressionless, is not moved. The prosecutor changes tack, playing out the emotional thread. "Mr. Brown, tell us in your own words what equality was like in your marriage." Kody bristles, looking at the judge before responding. "It meant love, justice, giving everyone what they needed." The lawyer cuts through his response in a flash. "Then tell me why Christine's sworn affidavits indicate she routinely couldn't afford household items while Robyn had access to private credit cards directly tied to these secret accounts." The silence that ensues is oppressive, and Christine's hands shake in her lap, the truth of her oppression now on display for all to hear. Courtroom is as still as if it is holding its breath. Christine's lawyer walks stiffly, stare fixed on Kody, ratcheting up tension with every step. "Mr. Brown, don't you know that hiding financial information from your lawful spouses can be fraud under the law?" The word fraud lingers in the air like smoke, impossible to disregard. Robyn's eyes grow wide and she leans into her lawyer, speaking in a frantic whisper as Christine gazes at her hands, tears welling but not falling, tears of vindication rather than grief. Kody splutters. "This wasn't fraud. This was me trying to save my family from falling apart," but he stops himself too late, remembering too well the gravity of what he says. "From falling apart? Or finding out the truth?" The attorney parrots, grabbing at the slip. "Or from learning the truth?" Crowd whispers, a wave of sounds cutting through the silence before the gavel of the judge quiets them down. Christine shuts her eyes, listening in her head to all the arguments, the gaslighting, the years being told she was delusional when really, the truth was uglier than she'd ever have dared imagine. A memory comes to mind of her saying to her children softly one evening, "One day, the truth will come out, and when it does, no one will be able to hide." And today that day has arrived. Christine's lawyer takes a step back, motioning to the bailiff. From a locked drawer, an envelope is pulled out, marked with the words "Confidential Evidence." The judge looks over his glasses as it is passed into the hands of Christine's attorney, who holds it up for the room to witness. "Your Honor, in this envelope are documents subpoenaed from a third-party financial institution. These records confirm the existence of accounts held jointly by Mr. Brown and Mrs. Robyn Brown, accounts concealed from the other wives." The courtroom erupts in gasps, Robyn covering her mouth with her hand as though the ground beneath her has shifted, Janelle whispering, "I knew it," and Meri finally lifting her head, eyes filled with betrayal but also a strange relief that the shadow she lived under was real and not imagined. The judge slams the gavel, demanding silence, but the harm has been done. The shock has hit like lightning, lighting up every aspect of the courtroom with agonizing clarity. Kody's face goes white, his lips compressed as if suppressing a cry, his shoulders curled forward like a man struck with the burden of decades of secrets falling all at once. Christine, in the meantime, sits up straighter than before, her expression firm as if this moment, this affirmation, has restored to her a fragment of herself long taken back. The judge inclines forward, his voice serious. "Mr. Brown, we shall study these documents in entirety before we proceed. Court will adjourn for 15 minutes. The gavel falls, but the crack doesn't break the tension, it merely pins it in position, leaving all of them hanging suspended in doubt. Porters scramble out of the benches to report the breaking news, the crowd speculating. Christine breathes out at last, the constriction in her chest relaxing just enough to breathe evenly. Janelle puts a hand on her shoulder, speaking in a whisper. "You were right, Christine. You were right all along." Meri doesn't say a word but gives a small solidarity nod, the type of silent acknowledgement Christine never imagined she'd receive again. In the aisle across from her, Robyn holds onto her purse, her face lined with tears, speaking in a whisper to Kody. "We can still make it right, can't we?" But Kody remains quiet. His eyes are fixed on the table in front of him, his face a mask of shock and fury, the weight of the evidence pressing down on him like an iron chain. And as our imagination's camera lingers on the scene, on the envelope lying like a weapon charged between them, the voice of the narrator drops with a sense of doom. The secrets are no longer dark whispers, they are in ink, in evidence, and ready to be judged. When recess is over, the courtroom seems changed, as if oxygen has dissipated and each individual within awaits a rumble of thunder to shatter the stillness, that which promises a storm you are trapped in. The judge returns, his black cloak flowing, the gavel banging to draw the room back into submission. The bailiff calls the next witness, and all eyes are on Robyn Brown, who slowly gets up, gripping a tissue in hand like a lifeline, her steps hesitant as she approaches the stand. Cameras close in, reporters write frantically, and Christine sits watching with a face that is as much exhaustion as determination. Robyn takes the oath in a shaking voice, her eyes already brimming with tears, and when she sits, she doesn't glance over at Christine, Janelle, or Meri. She glances only at Kody, as if attempting to borrow strength from the man who now sits pale and still, his own tempest brewing behind his eyes. The prosecutor clears his throat, bending in close with a near sympathetic tone. "Mrs. Brown, you've heard the charges, you've read the papers. Can you explain to us in your own words what you knew of these accounts and holdings?" Robyn breathes unsteadily, her voice breaking. I never meant to hurt anyone. I believed we were making joint decisions for the benefit of the family. I trusted Kody. I thought it was all on the up and up." She wipes at her eyes, her words tumbling out with practiced innocence, yet the wives on the other side of the aisle look at each other in skepticism. Christine's lips compress to a thin line, Janelle's forehead creases, and even the usually reserved Meri shakes her head slightly. The prosecutor leans in closer, voice toughening just slightly. "Are you telling us, Mrs. Brown, that you didn't know these accounts were being kept secret from the other wives?" Robyn swallows, holding her tissue tighter. I didn't know they were secret. Kody said he would take care of finances. I asked him questions, but he said it was complicated, and I believed him. I thought he was taking care of us." Her voice increases, passionate, urgent, and the members of the jury exchange glances, some questioning, some touched. The prosecutor saunters back and forth, pacing around her like a bird of prey. "Mrs. Brown, these documents have your signature as co-owner. Are you saying that you signed them without knowing what they would do?" Robyn nods rapidly, too rapidly. "Yes. I just signed where Kody instructed me. It was paperwork, just paperwork for security. I didn't know Christine, Janelle, or Meri were being excluded." A hush falls over the gallery, and Christine clasps the table's edge, her chest heaving with increasingly rapid breaths, anger coursing through her. She flashes back to evenings when Robyn appeared so peaceful, always with more, always the feeling of being looked after in ways the rest were not, and Christine recalls how Kody stood up for Robyn perpetually, brushing the rest aside as jealous. That recollection smolders now, igniting the fury that shudders through her frame. The prosecutor's voice lowers, pressing on. "So you're saying this court you were just a bystander, Mrs. Brown?" That all these signatures, all these perks you collected, were done in your complete ignorance? Robyn nods once more, voice breaking. Yes, yes, I didn't know, I swear. Janelle mutters under her breath, so only Christine can hear. She's lying. She knew. Tension grips tighter, like a drawn bowstring waiting to snap. The prosecutor's eyes narrow. Then what do you have to say about the independent credit accounts established in your name, directly linked to the money in those secret banks /? Robyn stiffens, the tissue trembling in her hand, her voice quivering. I thought they were family accounts. Undefined, Kody said. She dissolves into sobs, crying hard, shoulders shaking, the noise filling the air with jagged echoes. Christine's lawyer stands now, his voice above Robyn's, crying. Mrs. Undefined Brown, you expect us to believe that you, a smart, competent woman, signed several deeds, opened accounts, profited from them yourself, and never once questioned why the other wives weren't included? Undefined, Robyn hiccups, wiping her eyes. I didn't know they weren't included, I thought. But the lawyer cuts him off, his voice stern. Thought, undefined, or refused to look? The question lingers like a knife, and Robyn's tears slow, her eyes flicking toward Kody, silently pleading. Undefined. The courtroom feels like a theater, every expression magnified under invisible spotlights, every silence louder than thunder. Undefined. Christine leans forward, her voice low but audible in the hush. You knew. Undefined, you always knew. Robyn flinches, her lips trembling, but she doesn't respond. The jury observes intently, interpreting every flinch of her face, every falter of her words. Undefined. Janelle leans back, arms crossed, her face a mask of cold censure, while Meri regards Robyn with empty eyes, as if at last seeing the years of disequilibrium brought into being before them. Undefined, the lawyer strides again. Mrs. Brown, did you ever sit with Christine, Janelle, or Meri and inquire whether they were involved in these deals? Undefined, Robyn slowly shakes her head, barely whispering. No, I didn't. The lawyer nods, his voice authoritative. Then, Mrs. Brown, you weren't just blind. Undefined, you were an accomplice. The words slice through the courtroom like a knife, and Robyn collapses further into her seat, silent tears streaming down her face. The judge inches forward, his voice firm. Mrs. Brown, you can respond honestly. Did you know there were secret accounts? The silence hangs, stifling. Robyn's mouth opens, but no words emerge. She looks at Kody once more, her eyes agog with fear, as if asking for permission to respond. Kody performs the slightest headshake, delicate but noticeable to those observing keenly. The prosecutor's eyes bulge, catching the moment. Your Honor, let the record show that Mr. Brown just directed his witness during examination. Gasps rise once more, the gavel rings out, but the harm is already done, the unspoken alliance between Kody and Robyn exposed to all. Christine holds Janelle's hand hard, a little burst of triumph sparkling in her breast, though grief sits heavy in her eyes. Robyn will finally whisper, her voice almost inaudible. I didn't know everything. The prosecutor seizes. Not everything? So you are admitting you knew something? Robyn's face distorts, tears streaming freely. I knew there were accounts, but I believed they were for us, for all of us. Kody said the others didn't need to worry about it. The confession lands like a hammer blow, Christine closing her eyes as though she's been struck, Janelle muttering, "There it is," and Meri's lips part in silent shock. Questioning turns relentless, the attorneys pressing her on dates, amounts, meetings. Robyn falters with each answer, contradicting herself, her sobs turning to shaky defensiveness. I did only what Kody instructed me. I was trying to protect my kids. I never intended to hurt anybody, she wails, her voice ringing out. But Christine's lawyer retorts, and what about their children, Mrs. Brown? What about the children who didn't have enough, while yours had too much? Robyn tosses her head wildly. No, that's not the way it happened. Christine's face contorts with emotion, recalling holidays when her children had less, while Robyn's house shone with abundance, and Kody always defended it as fairness. The jury observes, balancing each word, each tear, each contradiction. The gallery stirs, fidgety, torn between pity and indignation. Reporters write down headlines. Robyn cracks under pressure, hidden accounts confirmed. The judge demands order again, but the room is charged with an energy that cannot be stopped. And then, just as the courtroom appears about to burst, Christine's lawyer delivers the final punch. He produces a folder, opening it slowly, meaningfully, like a magician producing the last card in a lethal trick. Mrs. Brown, we have evidence through a person who says you yourself told them to move money into your personal accounts. Do you have anything to say to that? Robyn stiffens, her body frozen, her eyes wide with fear. The room falls silent, the walls themselves seemingly holding their breath. Kody fidgets uncomfortably, his jaw clenched, his knuckles white on the table. Robyn stutters, I never, but the lawyer interrupts. We will hear from this witness very soon. Again, the gavel comes down, the judge calling a halt before the next testimony. The anticipation is suffocating, the wives glancing at Robyn with anger and vindication, Robyn shaking in her seat, and Kody scowling over the table, his empire of domination crumbling around him. The narrator's tone drops, weighed with finality. Secrets that used to be shared in kitchens and bedrooms are now being sworn in an open court, and the truth is no longer a matter of if, but how much darker it will become. Courtroom hums with the hum of a live wire when the judge reveals the next witness, the enigmatic figure promised in the previous session, and the atmosphere is charged with expectation, each eye in the gallery fixed upon the door as it draws itself slowly open, the hinges creaking in a scene staged for treachery. A large man enters, holding a briefcase, his face cast into shadow by the load he bears, and whispers circulate around the room when the bailiff mentions his name, a former accountant for the Browns, a man who had once been confided in about the inner processes of their vast finances but who had disappeared years ago. Christine's eyes widen as recognition sets in, Janelle gasps quietly, and even Meri crouches forward, her eyes squinting suspiciously while Kody stiffens, his jaw clenched, his face turning bright red. Robyn holds her tissue so tightly it almost rips in her hand. The advisor swears, his voice firm, his eyes shooting almost involuntarily towards Christine, who has the slightest inclination of support, and then he settles into his seat, placing the briefcase on his lap as if it contains the burden of a decade-long hidden truth. The prosecutor takes a step forward, his voice deliberate. State your name and your relationship to the Brown family, please. The man clears his throat. My name is Daniel Whitaker, and for close to 7 years I was a financial consultant to Kody Brown and his family. The words are a hammer blow, and the gallery stirs. Kody mutters seethingly under his breath. Traitor, but Christine's lawyer holds up his hand, stopping the moment. The prosecutor leans forward. Mr. Whitaker, can you tell the court what you learned while you were financial advisor to the Browns? Daniel fidgets in his seat, his hands holding the sides of the briefcase in front of him. Yes, I learned a pattern. Funds being transferred from common family accounts into discrete, lesser accounts, all of which were directly connected to Robyn Brown's name with Kody's approval. Transfers were never revealed to Christine, Janelle, or Meri. Christine's eyes close, a shiver passing through her as the reality she dreads comes alive before a jury. Janelle's fists clench, she mutters furiously under her breath. I knew it, but Meri's head bows, her lips quivering. Robyn's head wags spasmodically, muttering hoarsely. That's not true, but the force of Daniel's even delivery silences her objections. The prosecutor goes on. Did Mr. Brown ever tell you why these accounts were being prepared? Daniel's nod is grim, yes. He explained that it was to safeguard the family. But he did tell me something else, something which stayed with me. He looks over at Christine, his eyes weighed down before proceeding. He said, and I quote, the others don't need to know. They wouldn't understand. Robyn is the only one who can deal with this. The ensuing gasp shudders the room, the pain of the wives on their faces, and Christine clutches the table, whispering through gritted teeth. He said that to someone else. Not me alone. The prosecutor nods to Daniel. And do you have proof of this? Daniel opens the briefcase, drawing out a sheaf of documents, neatly bound, the rip of paper on would echoing like thunder in the courtroom. These are records of each transfer I was ordered to make, each email, each text message from Kody Brown affirming those orders. I held them because I was certain one day this would come to the surface. Christine's lawyer comes over with gentle hands, holding the papers high for the jury. The silence is so heavy it is like glass, waiting to break. Kody's face contorts with fury, his voice thundering. Lies! All lies. You're turning everything around. The judge bangs the gavel. Order! Mr. Brown, compose yourself or you will be taken out. But Kody's face is red, his fury erupting. He's bitter. He got fired. He's lying to try and ruin me. Daniel looks straight ahead, not flinching. I quit, Your Honor, because I couldn't stand by and see the lies perpetuate. Courtroom hums again, the reporters typing furiously, the crowd leaning forward. Christine wipes away a tear from her cheek. Not one of sadness but of validation, years of gaslighting and belittling at last ripped asunder before the world to behold. Janelle nods slowly, lips compressed tight, while Meri breathes softly. Finally! Robyn shakes, mascara smeared, voice cracking. He's lying. He has to be lying. But her cries fall on deaf ears, her words lost in the tide of evidence rolling in. The prosecutor continues. Mr. Whitaker, were you ever threatened by Mr. Brown in regard to these finances? Daniel pauses, his face reddening. Yes. More than once. Kody told me if I ever shared these accounts, I'd regret it. He suggested that I would be destroyed, that nobody would ever believe me. Christine gasps quietly, her hand going to her mouth, and Janelle says, Of course he did. The judge leans forward, his expression unyielding. Mr. Brown, is this true? Kody bangs his hands on the table. No! I never said that. He's lying, but his voice breaks with desperation, denial thinner than the evidence piling up against him. The jury looks at each other, their cynicism growing. Christine's lawyer pounces, his voice cutting like a razor. So, Mr. Brown, not only did you conceal money from your wives, but you threatened the man who assisted you in doing so when he didn't want to play the game? Kody glowers, mute, his anger seething, his empire disintegrating brick by brick before his very eyes. Robyn cries softly, reaching out to him, but he withdraws his hand, his attention fixed on the jury, his pride wrestling with the truth. Daniel goes on to produce another envelope from the briefcase, his voice steady and even. This has bank statements detailing the precise amounts channeled into Robyn's accounts, together with timestamps correlating with Kody's authorization emails. No error. No confusion. Prosecutor distributes copies to the jury, their faces taking in the incriminating evidence, looks from shock to horror. Christine is sitting back in her chair, her whole body convulsing in the release of years of bottled pain, whispering to herself, It's real. It's all real. Janelle places a firm hand on her back, silently nodding, while Meri is crying tears from her cheeks, the years of uncertainty finally given bitter certainty. Robyn hides her face in her hands, weeping. Kody, why didn't you tell me it was this bad? But Kody won't even look at her, his expression contorted in rage and humiliation. The judge clears his throat. Mr. Whitaker, thank you for your testimony. The records will be examined in depth. You may step down. Daniel rises, nodding, his eyes locking with Christine's once again before he moves towards the door, the burden of his truth left behind him. Courtroom buzzes with shock, the wives dazed, Kody disintegrating, Robyn shattering, and the jury wordlessly drinking in the tsunami of betrayal laid before them. The judge calls for a second recess, but all are stuck in place. Quiet is electric, crackling with outrage, sorrow, and shock. Christine finally releases a breath, shoulders sagging as if she's borne this burden too long. She glances at Janelle, who nods, her tone low but steady. You've been right every step of the way. He can't hide anymore. Meri, finally after all these years, reaches out and takes Christine's hand, whispering, I'm sorry I didn't believe you. I see it now. Christine's eyes brim with tears, but they don't fall. She refuses to let them. Here now. Over the aisle, Kody slumps, his head in his hands, his pride shattered. Robyn leans over him, whispering urgently, Say something, Kody, make it right, please, but his silence is deafening. Reporters swarm the corridor outside, headlines already being created. Explosive testimony against Kody Brown, secret fortune exposed, Robyn accused in scheme. The wives sit together for the first time in years, bound not by love for the same man but by betrayal from him, their shattered pieces creating a tentative solidarity against destruction. And as the imagination's camera draws back from the tight, fractured room, the narrator's voice drops to a whisper. The illusion has been shattered by the truth, but the trial is not finished. Because when the court resumes session, the evidence will be louder than Kody ever was, and the issue is no longer guilt, but punishment. The courtroom adjourns after the tempest of Daniel Whitaker's testimony, the air thick with tension so oppressive it seems like the walls themselves are curving under the weight, and each face in the gallery wears the gravity of expectation, reporters poised with pen, cameras flashing soundlessly, while the jury returns, their faces somber, weighed down with all that they've witnessed and heard. The judge clears his throat. His gavel thumps once to impose order. We will now take up cross-examination and closing statements, and the room quietens as Christine's lawyer stands, his eyes locked on Kody, the man who once held center stage in a family now worn down to silences until shame and desperation. Christine sits straight, her fingers folded. Janelle bends forward with fierce determination. Meri stiffens as if reviving strength long forgotten, and Robyn grips her tissue, shaking, muttering prayers that seem to disappear into the air. The lawyer starts with precision. Mr. Brown, you've denied these allegations made, but tell us, how do you account for the bank transfers? How do you account for the secret accounts? Kody jerks, his jaw clenching, his lips compressed into a thin line before spitting. I did what I had to do to protect my family. That money wasn't stolen, it was secured. The attorney nods his head, stalking around the room like a predator. Secured for whom, Mr. Brown? Because the evidence indicates it was not for Christine, not for Janelle, not for Meri, but for Robyn. So tell us, what were you defending? The family or your favorites? The collective gasp from the crowd strikes like thunder, and Christine's chest swells up with vindication. Janelle's eyes burn with anger. Meri makes a little noise like a sob but studies quickly, and Robyn weeps, shaking her head. No, it wasn't like that. But her voice hung flaccid in the charged air. The judge leans forward, his gavel tapping once more. Mr. Brown, you might answer straight. Kody's face turns red as a red apple. I gave Robyn access because she was responsible, she knew how to do things, the others were reckless. His voice trembles as he speaks, his hands waving wildly, and the room comes alive with disbelief. Christine slams her hand on the table, not able to contain herself. Reckless? You mean raising your kids? You mean maintaining the home and while you kept everything secret with her? The judge admonishes her, but the explosion is already palpable, the raw hurt of years pouring into the light, and the jury drinks in every phrase. Janelle insists resolutely. We were never irresponsible, we were caught off guard. You kept us in the dark. Meri's soft but cutting voice slices into the quiet. You made me doubt, but it was all true. Kody clenches the table, growling. You're twisting this around. You all profited from me, from what I have created. The lawyer strikes back. From what you have created or what you stole, Mr. Brown? The question dangles, slicing deeper than a blade, and Robyn collapses into tears, begging, Please stop, he did what he believed was right. But even her plea sounds hollow, more frantic than persuasive. The lawyer strides in front of the jury, his tone level. This is not a case about money. It's about dishonesty, about manipulation, about betrayal on the most intimate level of family. The records are evidence, the witness is evidence, and Mr. Brown's own words today affirm it. He put loyalty to one of his wives above the rest, and in doing so, he stole from them not merely money but trust, dignity, their years. Courtroom buzzes, heads shaking, feelings overflowing. The defense lawyer eventually stands, desperation in his step. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, don't let emotion cloud your judgment. Families are messy, finances are complicated, and favoritism, though painful, is not a crime. Mr. Brown has stood by these women for years, through homes, through children, through struggles. If he erred, it was with misguided motives to shelter them, not hurt them. His words grasp for sympathy, yet the jury's gaze holds skepticism, and Christine shakes her head incredulously, whispering to Janelle, He's making us out to be ungrateful after everything. The defense continues. Consider the children. Do you imagine Mr. Brown would ever knowingly withhold from them? Or was this just a husband trying to maneuver an impossible predicament? Robyn raises her face, hanging on to the lifeline, nodding through tears. Yes, yes, that's what happened. But Janelle whispers, loud enough for the gallery. If he cared about the kids, he wouldn't have divided them. The judge warns the court to be quiet, but the damage is done. The contrast between slick defense and raw testimony sharp and irrevocable. Closing arguments start, and Christine's lawyer drives the last nail in, his voice growing louder with indignation. This is not a case of a man buried by family. This is a case of betrayal, betrayal of trust, betrayal of vows, betrayal of common sacrifice. Christine, Janelle, and Meri sacrificed decades of their lives for a man who promised them equality but gave them secrets and lies. And now the truth is before you in documents, in testimony, in his own outbursts. This isn't merely about financial theft, it is about theft of identity, of worth, of a lifetime of devotion. The only thing that can provide justice is holding him responsible. His words ring out, hanging in the air, the jury looking back at him, pens in hand but hands motionless, as if paralyzed by the audacity of the plea. The defense attempts again. Don't criminalize family dysfunction. Don't punish a man for not fulfilling impossible standards. But the words ring hollow, swamped by the roar of the evidence, the wife's emotional destruction, the inescapable burden of betrayal. The judge's gavel comes down once more. The jury will now deliberate. Gasps are heard as everyone knows the time has arrived, the moment of no return, the destiny of the Brown family hanging in the balance of a decision. Undefined. Christine gasps shakily. It's almost over, while Janelle nods and clasps her hand hard, and Meri closes her eyes as if praying silently for strength. Robyn holds on to Kody's arm, talking excitedly under her breath. They'll see, they'll understand, you did this for us. But Kody sits frozen, looking straight ahead with blank eyes, sweat breaking out on his forehead. Undefined. The hours drag by, each passing minute sounding a little louder than the last. The wives sitting in wait together on one side, Kody and Robyn alone on the other, the divide stark and symbolic. The gallery whispers, reporters transmit frantic dispatches, but within the courtroom, time appears arrested. Undefined. Christine stands quietly considering the years that were wasted, the deceptions suffered, the courage required to leave, her heart racing with a combination of fear and relief. Janelle grumbles, "Whatever happens, we know the truth now," and Meri speaks quietly, "We're stronger without him." Robyn across the aisle wipes Kody's forehead, softly whispering assurances that ring more like pleas than beliefs. They'll forgive, they'll see it differently, but Kody does not react, his mind occupied with the thought that the empire he constructed on control has been lost. Suddenly, the bailiff announces, "The jury has reached a verdict." The room freezes, the wives' hands gripping each other, Kody stiffening, Robyn gasping, the gallery erupting before the gavel slams. "Order in the court!" The jury files back in, solemn, their faces unreadable, and Christine feels her pulse in her throat, Janelle's jaw set tight, Meri's lips moving in silent prayer, while Robyn shakes uncontrollably, clutching Kody's hand. The judge queries, "Has the jury reached a verdict?" Undefined. The foreperson rises, voice unshaken. "Yes, Your Honor." Papers are handed forward, the judge reads in silence, his face stern and immobile. Undefined. The quiet is excruciating, each eye on him, each beat of each heart like a drum. And then, taking what's age as it seems to breathe, the judge pronounces, "In the case of Brown versus Brown, the jury finds." Courtroom is holding its breath, each spirit hung in midair for that one instant, and aware that everything will be different forevermore after hearing the next word. The judge clears his throat, his face stern, the verdict paper in his hand trembling slightly under the weight of what it holds, the silence in the courtroom so thick that it feels as if no one dares breathe. Christine's nails dig into her palm. Janelle squeezes her hand so tightly it leaves marks. Meri whispers to herself as if reciting a prayer, and across the aisle, Robyn clutches Kody's arm, her tears falling silently, while Kody sits rigid, his eyes fixed on the bench as though he can will the judge to speak a different truth. Finally, the words come, deliberate, resonant. "In the matter of Brown versus Brown, we, the jury, find that Mr. Kody Brown is liable for the concealment and misappropriation of marital assets." And the room erupts, gasps slicing through the heavy air, Christine sobbing openly, Janelle's lips curling into a tight, satisfied smile, Meri's hand covering her mouth as tears roll freely, while Robyn lets out a wail, shaking her head in disbelief. "No, this can't be." As Kody strikes his fist on the table, his face contorted in anger and humiliation, yelling, "This is a lie! You don't know what you've done." But the judge bangs his gavel angrily. "Order! Order in this court!" His voice thundering as security moves closer, prepared to step in. Christine, tears streaming down her face, rises slowly, her voice shaking but strong. "After all these years of lies, years of deceit, we are finally seen. Finally heard. This is justice." Her words are not only relief but the gravity of survival, every syllable ringing out in the gallery, where onlookers lean forward, entranced, and reporters write furiously. Janelle gets up next, voice firm, defiant. "This was never about money. It was about truth. It was about freedom from a man who thought he could play God in our lives." The women's strength stands in stark contrast to Kody, whose composure is crumbling, sweat dripping from his forehead, his hands trembling as he points a shaking finger at them. "You think you've won? You've destroyed everything. Our family is ruined because of you, not me." His voice cracks into desperation and Robyn clings to him, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, please stop, you'll make it worse." But he cannot stop, his pride shredded before the nation. The judge silences the chaos, his gavel ringing like thunder. "This court has spoken. The jury's verdict is final. Mr. Brown, the consequences of your actions will be determined in sentencing. Until such time, you are instructed to cooperate fully with financial disclosures and restitution." The words fall like rocks, hard, irreversible, and Kody's shoulders sag, his struggle fading as reality sets in. He settles into his chair, cursing under his breath, while Robyn gently pats his arm, whispering wildly, "We'll appeal, we'll make it right, don't give up." Christine sits, her face hardening as though she no longer knows the man she once gave decades of her life to, whispering to Janelle, "He still believes he can spin his way out." Meri, brittle but unyielding, edges in. "Not this time. Not anymore." Courtroom is still charged with emotion, each individual within it feeling history being created, the fall of a patriarch who had ruled every aspect of his family's life. With the bailiff's call for order, the press swarms outside, cameras poised to catch responses, but within the courtroom, the judge declares a recess before sentencing, and in that short interval, emotions boil over once again. Christine squeezes Janelle tightly, both women sobbing, relief and fatigue entwined, their whispers barely audible but oozing gratitude. "We did it, we really did it." Meri, more out of reluctance, joins in the hug, her voice wispy. "For once, we were on the same side." The gallery applauds quietly, understanding murmurs ringing out as the wives luxuriate in a rare solidarity forged not from mutual love, but from mutual betrayal. Meanwhile, Kody pulls away from Robyn, his face twisted in anger, muttering, "They'll regret this, I swear they'll regret this." His words venomous, chilling those nearby, Robyn grabbing his hand. "Please stop, you'll only make them hate you more," but he yanks away, pacing like a caged animal consumed by bitterness. The contrast could not be sharper, 3 women finally free and a man unraveling before the world's eyes. Outside the court, the storm brews as journalists pour onto the families, microphones pushed forward, questions yelled. "Christine, what are your thoughts on the verdict? Kody, are you going to appeal? Robyn, were you aware of the secret assets?" The women emerge, Christine first, her tone quiet but firm. "It was about responsibility. For years, our lives were dictated by deceptions. Today, truth triumphed." Janelle asserts firmly, "We won't be silenced anymore." Meri, gently but with strength, "This ruling wasn't just for us. It was for every woman who's ever been made to feel invisible." Cameras click, the crowd is cheering, their words echoing beyond the courthouse walls. Meanwhile, Kody pushes through reporters, his voice loud in anger. "This isn't justice, it's revenge. You don't know the whole story." His face twists in anger, beads of sweat glinting in the sun, and Robyn keeps pace behind him, her eyes protected, crying, "Leave us be! Haven't you done enough?" The video broadcasts live, viewers across the nation watching every moment, the sight of a shattered patriarch juxtaposed against the ascendance of the women he once ruled over back within the courthouse. The wives sit once more together, contemplating somberly in the clearing gallery, Christine murmuring, "This does not eliminate the pain, but perhaps it closes a door." Janelle nods. It allows us a future. Meri, looking at her clasped hands, confesses, "For the first time, I feel that I can breathe." Their words, plain and great, provide an uncommon peaceful moment amidst the tempest, the sound of liberty resonating in, even as doubt remains concerning what is to come. On the opposite side, Kody slams his briefcase shut, muttering angrily to his lawyer, "We'll appeal, we'll expose them, they don't deserve to win," but his lawyer's expression is grim, weary. "Kody, the jury was clear. The evidence was overwhelming. An appeal won't change that." Kody growls, "Then we'll find another way." His eyes dark with resolve, Robyn clutching his sleeve. "Please, just let it go," but he shakes her off, his pride outweighing even her pleas. The break between them starts to reveal itself, the woman once preferred now on the receiving end of his collapse, her tears falling on the material of her blouse as she mutters, "This isn't what I married into. This isn't what I believed." The recess is over, and everybody is being summoned back into the courtroom for the sentencing. The gallery fills up again, whispers humming with excitement, and the mood becomes electric once more. The judge, calm and authoritative, scans the courtroom. "We are here to find the right consequence for Mr. Brown's actions." Both sides will be given their say prior to sentencing being handed down. Christine's attorney stands, his voice unshakable. "Your Honor, the jury has had its say. Mr. Brown cheated his wives of trust, hid assets, and displayed overt disrespect for fairness. We ask for restitution, openness, and protection to make sure this doesn't happen again." The defense responds weakly. "Your Honor, although errors were made, Mr. Brown has provided for his family for decades. Taking away from him will not only hurt him, but his children as well. We beg for mercy." The conflict mounts higher as the judge sits, unblinking, hands clasped together before finally stating, "We will continue tomorrow with the final sentencing." The gavel comes down with a loud crash, and once again, all is left hanging in the balance of what might be to come. Christine breathes out softly, whispering, "One more night," as Janelle nods, "one more step." Meri tightens her hands into fists, and over the aisle, Robyn weeps into her hands as Kody looks at the wives with angry eyes, his voice low and simmering. "This isn't over." Not by a long shot. The morning of sentencing dawns gray and heavy, storm clouds looming over the courthouse as if nature itself mirrors the turmoil inside the Brown family. The crowd outside even larger than before, reporters packed shoulder to shoulder, fans and critics alike waving signs, some cheering Christine, others screaming for Kody's vindication, the entire nation waiting for the gavel to fall, and inside, the atmosphere is electric, buzzing with dread and anticipation. Christine enters first, her chin high, dressed in muted but elegant colors, Janelle close at her side, steady and strong, while Meri trails with quiet resolve, her presence softer but no less powerful, each woman marked by years of sacrifice now stepping forward to claim the justice that feels almost within reach, while across the aisle, Robyn arrives clinging to Kody, her face streaked with tears even before proceedings begin, her whispers constant as she tries to soothe him. "We'll be okay, we'll fight this," but his jaw is clenched, his eyes burning with the fury of a man who refuses to accept defeat, glaring across the courtroom at the wives as though they are enemies rather than the women who once shared his life. The judge enters, gavel slamming sharply. "This court is now in session," and the room falls into silence so profound it feels suffocating, every eye locked forward as the final chapter of this trial begins. This is the prosecution stands first, Christine's lawyer addressing with measured solemnity, voice bearing years of evidence and sorrow. "Your Honor, the jury has said what it said. Mr. Brown hid assets, broke trust, and took advantage of those nearest to him. Today isn't merely a matter of restitution, but accountability. We call for complete financial disclosure, restitution to Christine, Janelle, and Meri, and measures to prevent him from ever again skimming funds to benefit one overall." Christine sits with tears in her eyes, her lips pursed tight, Janelle nods definitively, her posture screaming vindication, and Meri dabs a silent tear away, the women silenced by their solidarity. The defense speaks next, Kody's attorney striving for sympathy. "Your Honor, Mr. Brown has maintained a big family for decades. Yes, there were errors, but they were not done in bad faith. Taking away his assets will penalize not only him but his children. We petition this court for clemency, for compassion." The judge sits, expressionless, as Kody leans forward, hissing fiercely at his attorney. Say I gave up everything, say they would have perished without me. But his attorney gently shakes his head, aware that such words would make the grave deeper. Then is the time for words from the parties themselves. Christine stands, her voice firm though her hand shakes slightly. I was told to smile, to grit it out, to act like everything was okay. I gave decades of my life to a man who offered equality but gave favor and lies instead. This isn't about money, it's about integrity. About demonstrating to my children that honesty counts. Your Honor, I request that you ensure he can no longer perpetuate this behavior, that you make it clear betrayal has repercussions. Her voice rings out, a mix of anguish and strength, and the gallery hums in silent affirmation. Janelle speaks up, her tone firm, unyielding. I worked, I sacrificed, I provided for him, and this is how I was rewarded. I request this court to safeguard what little security I still have, so I may be free from his domination. Meri stands up last, her voice softer but razor-like. I wasted years wondering if I was worth anything, questioning my value because he convinced me I was nothing. Today, I am positive that's not the case. I deserve to be noticed, to be valued. Please, let him not be able to harm us anymore. The air is electric with emotion, the wives' words not only legal entreaties but emotional accountings, their voices cutting through years of silence. Kody moves, his fists balling, his eyes folding in as if every word cuts deeper than the previous one. Then Kody stands up, wobbly but indignant, his voice thundering with fury barely held back. Your victims? Your saints? No. You wouldn't have had a thing without me. I supported this family, I provided you with homes, I provided you with children, I provided you with a life. And then you spit in my face, bringing me here like a criminal. This is not justice, it's betrayal. I was the cement that kept this family together, and without me, you'll all disintegrate. His words echo out, poisonous, despairing, the courtroom drawing its breath, journalists writing wildly, Christine shaking her head with inward distaste, Janelle muttering to herself, still the same man even now, and Meri dropping her eyes, her lips shaking. Robyn stands beside him, crying helplessly. Please, Your Honor, he's not the monster they make him out to be. He erred, but his heart was for his family. Don't destroy him. Don't kill us. Her screams ring out, tearful but broken, the courtroom torn between sadness and contempt, the wives unmoved, their determination hardening. The judge breathes slowly, his voice controlled and authoritative. This court has heard the evidence, the arguments, the testimonies. Mr. Brown, though you might have supplied materially for your family, you also did so at the expense of their trust in the deepest dimensions. You have been found guilty by the jury, and it is the responsibility of this court to hold you accountable. He glances at you for a moment, the silence as heavy as a weight, the gallery swaying forward, every beat in unison with anticipation. Thus, it is the judgment of this court that Mr. Brown pay full restitution of hidden assets, surrender financial authority over all common properties, and undergo supervised financial management to keep him from future fraud. In addition, severe penalties will be incurred to match the gravity of his actions. Gasps fill the room, Christine covers her mouth with a hand, crying tears of relief in abundance. Janelle blows out hard, shaking all over with years of pent-up tension released. Meri quietly weeps into her hands, and Kody falls back in his chair, pale of face, his body shaking as though he'd been hit physically by the severity of the punishment, and Robyn screams, holding him frantically, No! This can't be happening. But the judge isn't done. He leans forward, eyes blazing. And let it be understood, Mr. Brown, your conduct during these proceedings, your refusal to accept responsibility, your efforts to demean those who opposed you, have only made this court's ruling certain. Actions have consequences. This sentence will make them suffer. The gavel comes down once, twice, 3 times, the sound booming like thunder, locking in Kody's doom. Courtroom outbursts again, some shouting, others shocked into silence, journalists scrambling to bring news that will be the talk of the country. Christine stands up, hugging Janelle and Meri, her voice cracking, It's over, it's finally over, while Robyn holds onto Kody, who is sat motionless, his eyes empty, his spirit apparently shattered, saying, This isn't over, it'll never be over. The wives exit as one, heads held high, their solidarity a powerful image televised live around the globe, while Kody is left behind, filled with fury and humiliation. A king dethroned, the doors of the courthouse swing open and flashbulbs detonate like firecrackers, reporters yelling, microphones pushed into their faces as Christine, Janelle, and Meri emerge into the searing light of freedom, streaked faces but raised heads, the jeers of Kody's supporters lost in the shouts of congratulations. By fans, the world divided between those cheering justice and those weeping the loss of a once great polygamous family. Christine stops on the steps, her voice firm but shaking with emotion. This isn't my victory alone. This is for every woman who was silenced, every woman who was told to suffer, every woman who believed she had no strength. Today we prove the truth can prevail, her words ringing out down the courthouse steps, replayed on television, streaming sites, and social media. Clips in seconds, hashtags igniting globally, hashtag justice for Christine, hashtag Brown trial, hashtag sisterwives. No more, the internet burning with debates, think pieces, and reaction videos dissecting every turn of the trial. While in the courthouse, Kody slumps hunched over, Robyn by his side, her face buried behind shaking hands, his eyes empty but brimming with a rage growing more toxic with each headline proclaiming him a fake, a manipulator, a fallen patriarch. The picture of him crumpling in the courtroom, already plastered across all major networks, his humiliation forever in the annals of history for all to witness, the once mighty head of a sprawling family empire now a symbol of betrayal and defeat. Christine arrives home that evening to her children, the house full of sobs and laughter, relief sweeping the air like a purifying storm, her daughters holding on to her, whispering, "Mom, you did it, you really did it," and she responds through tears, "No, we did it together, we survived him, we survived the pain," her words becoming a battle cry of strength, while Janelle spends her night quietly signing new papers, securing her own funds at last, her eyes tired but her smile burning, whispering to herself, "No more chains, no more control," a quiet strength emanating as she sets her own future in motion. And Meri, though still tormented by years of uncertainty, finally sits at her dining table with a notebook, writing for the first time not about him, not about them, but about herself, her journey, her healing, her rediscovery, her tears smearing the ink but her hand firm as she finally commits her truth to paper. Meanwhile, Robyn sits alone with Kody, their house shrouded in silence, her sobs interrupted only by his growled rage. "They'll pay for this, they'll all pay for this," his voice full of venom, and though Robyn pleads, "Please let it go, let us move on," his mind twists further into bitterness, unable to let go of the loss, unable to accept the truth that the world now perceives him not as a leader but as a man consumed by his own pride. In the weeks that ensue, the media frenzy grows only bigger. Christine interviews on morning television where she talks of strength and liberation, Janelle posing in tabloids snapped with her children, smiling for the first time in years, Meri gradually winning sympathy from fans who previously shunned her, her unassuming strength gaining her new respect, while Kody and Robyn slink into the background, paparazzi snapping tense moments outside their house, rumors circulating of financial ruin, foreclosure threats, and acrimonious arguments behind closed doors. Family members previously quiet now raise their voices. Adult children opening up about favoritism, secrecy, and manipulation, their testimonies affirming what the world already suspects, that the Fishers and the Brown family went far deeper than anyone ever knew. Old friends are interviewed, describing whispered cautions disregarded, monetary discrepancies brushed aside, the empire Kody constructed now shown to be tenuous, rotten at the foundation, and viewers argue endlessly online. Was Kody always this way, or did pride and power turn him darker? But even as Christine, Janelle, and Meri construct new lives, there hangs an unease, a shadow from Kody's last words in court. "This isn't over, it'll never be over," and the veiled threats he spits under his breath when cameras record him, warning of appeals, of revenge, of plots yet to be hatched, that the tempest is not yet fully past, that though the women have won the war, Kody might still discover ways to fight in the shadows, and it is here that the audience huddles in closest. 'Cause justice is both final and tenuous, victory sweet but vulnerable, wounds still open and scars beginning to form. Christine, in a post-midnight interview, confesses softly, "I don't know if he'll ever really move on, but I do know I can't let that be the thing that dominates me anymore," her voice firm but her eyes revealing the burden of what still lingers. Janelle speaks in another interview, "We've broken free, but healing isn't overnight. It's every day, every choice," her words ringing deep in the hearts of viewers who identify with her experience as Meri chimes in softly, The hardest part is learning who you are when you're no longer defined by someone else's shadow, her openness resonating across social media. Undefined still, what next? As the camera holds on Kody and Robyn behind their closed blinds, whispers of bankruptcy and loneliness swirling, his face captured once again by paparazzi lenses, glaring out the window with that same unbroken pride, audiences are left to wonder if this is indeed the end of the saga, or just another chapter waiting to explode. And as Christine, Janelle, and Meri reunite privately one last time, their laughter mingling with tears, their bond stronger than it has been in years, Christine lifts a glass, whispering, "To freedom, to truth, to finally living." And the moment is triumphant, hopeful, but tinged with the shadow of a man who will not fade quietly. The credits of this chapter roll, but the story remains because the Browns are no longer simply a family. They are a warning, a mirror for everyone caught in silence, a reminder that it is possible to escape, but the whispers of betrayal are not so easily muffled. So I leave the question with you. After all we've seen, the deceptions, the betrayals, the trial, and the sentencing, comment below your thoughts because this discussion is hardly finished.